Hi guys, it's Kirsty. In today's video, I want to talk about the importance of getting used to feeling uncomfortable in all areas of OCD, regardless of the theme, in order to help us along in our recovery journey. But before I go into that, I'd like to ask, please do subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button below in order to stay up to date with new videos as they're released. Now, this is an important topic to cover because a big driver for us when it comes to performing compulsions is trying to eliminate discomfort, uncomfortable feelings. So that discomfort could be the discomfort of physical anxiety feelings. So, that sort of physical discomfort of tight throat, tingling fingers, increased heart rate, sweating, sort of that need to fidget. Or it could be that feeling of mental discomfort, of kind of feeling a bit mentally harassed in a way, having racing, intrusive thoughts, not being able to control rumination. Or the discomfort may come from having physical sensations that aren't necessarily physical sensations from the feeling of anxiety, but it might be like physical sensations such as a groinal response, for example, or something that makes you feel like you might be feeling aroused. Or it may even be intrusive urges that we can get quite often with certain OCD themes. The discomfort can also be kind of the frustrated feelings that we get with OCD because it's so confusing. So the discomfort could also be emotional sort of sensation, how we're feeling emotionally. So that discomfort might be, like I said, irritation. It may even be anger sometimes because we're so angry with, how OCD is making us feel. We might be feeling anger that other people aren't participating in our rituals, or it may be anger at life because we have OCD, or because of what OCD is making us feel like what might happen to our lives, or what we might become, or what our OCD is saying about us. The discomfort also when it comes to emotions may be sadness. It may be, having, discomfort of that feeling of sadness and the urge to kind of run away from that. Or it might be the discomfort of maybe feeling a little bit like that sort of mentally energetic in a way, and sort of, I suppose this falls under the category of racing thoughts. So, this discomfort that we will be quite often, generally most of the time trying to run away from in OCD can come in a number of forms. As I said, it could be the physical anxiety symptoms. It could be the feeling of the intrusive thoughts and the way it's making us feel mentally, the constant rumination, the exhaustion of that. It could be the emotions we might be trying to run away from, or it could be the physical sensations, like I said, groinal responses, or it could be intrusive urges. But this discomfort, this is what's driving us most often to do compulsions, because we want to run away from that uncomfortable uncertainty that our feared scenario might actually be real. So the thing is with us performing compulsions to get away from that discomfort, it's natural for human beings to not want to be uncomfortable. So even if somebody isn't an OCD or anxiety sufferer, they could still find themselves avoiding situations that make them feel uncomfortable. And even though they don't suffer from OCD, the avoidance of those situations would probably enhance how bad they find them situations. So they would probably find the more they avoid, the more they would want to avoid, in a way. And of course, the same as when it comes to those of us who suffer from OCD, we know that performing our compulsions and avoidance behaviours are the thing that keeps those obsessions coming up. And with those obsessions comes the discomfort. So in order to start moving forward in our recovery, we need to get more comfortable with being uncomfortable. So we need to start learning to accept that feeling of discomfort, whatever form it may come in, if we want to start moving forward in our recovery. So we need to be willing to allow that discomfort, to invite it in even. So when we're having, if we say, for example, we're doing exposures in order to trigger ourselves, and of course we need to make sure we're not responding to that exposure, the response prevention part, what essentially we're doing is walking into a situation with the intention of making ourselves feel uncomfortable. We're inviting it in. And what we need to make sure we're doing, if we're doing exposures, is not responding. So we need to sit with that discomfort, and we need to kind of almost have the expectation that as we go on in our recovery journey and we're reducing the amount of compulsions and avoidance we're doing, we can expect discomfort to rise for a while before it starts to get better, because we're egging it on and we're no longer doing the things that we were doing to eliminate that discomfort. So, of course, as we go along in our recovery journey, we can expect the discomfort to rise at certain points, but also we can expect that discomfort to show up in different ways. So it might be early on in your recovery that discomfort might start off as physical anxiety, and like the need to ruminate, constantly. As you get further into your recovery and you've maybe you've been working on your irrational fears and you've been doing some exposures, your anxiety might come down. But what you might find as your anxiety comes down is that it may be then revealing other discomfort, so emotional discomfort, like I said, irritation or sadness, or like more sort of physical feelings, because we're no longer holding on to the idea that it's really, really fearful to feel these things. So the anxiety comes down, but we might start to feel more of those feelings. So there's different areas of discomfort that we need to practice getting used to. But one thing that I used to kind of help myself a bit with in my recovery was just knowing that if I'm uncomfortable, then I'm doing something right. There's obviously no certainties. We don't want to reassure. But if I've got the feeling, if I'm uncomfortable, basically I know that if I'm sitting there tolerating that discomfort, then I'm doing something, even as small as it may be, to help myself along in my recovery journey. Now, it doesn't matter what theme you have. The need to get used to being uncomfortable and egging it on is necessary. So I want to now give some examples of, like I've given some examples of the different ways we can feel uncomfortable and how that may present itself as we go along our recovery journey. But what I want to give examples of now is different types of feeling uncomfortable dependent on what the obsession or feared scenario may be. So, as I quite often do, I will start with ROCD, because I am most well versed in this type of OCD, this theme. So the discomfort may be what you may have avoided previously was, maybe you've avoided spending time with your partner's family because, you feel terrible that you're having those thoughts and feelings that you might not love your partner, or the relationship might not last. You shouldn't be spending time with their family. So, you've avoided that. But then as you start to move through your recovery journey, you decide that you need to start exposing yourself to this. So you might be sat with them. Your anxiety might start to rise. You might have to feel the urge to get out of there. But basically what you want to be doing is sitting with that. That's that sense of urgency to get out. It might even bring up breakup urges or something like that. Again, sitting with that discomfort, the uncertainty. Also with ROCD, the feelings of discomfort may be, when you're sort of spending time with your partner and you're not feeling loving feelings, and the lack of loving feelings that you've been checking for and you so desperately want are not there, and it makes you feel so uncomfortable. You want to check for those feelings. You want to get reassurance from your partner. I recommend don't do that. Sit with that discomfort. Sit with that lack of feeling, because that's another thing that can make us feel uncomfortable is the lack of feeling. If you're suffering from themes which involve obsessions, whatever they might be, like taboo obsessions, like sexual obsessions or something that make you feel uncomfortable, however they may present themselves. If you're around a person that may provoke sort of uncomfortable physical sensations because of those obsessions, don't run away from that person. Don't avoid that person. Sit with that. Allow those feelings to come along. And it may also be like, you know, when you're watching certain TV programs or listening to certain songs that might provoke those kind of feelings, you know, physical sensations or the urge to analyze whether or not you want to act upon those thoughts. You know, sit with that and allow that discomfort to flow through your body. Allow yourself to, you know, feel the cringiness of it and whatever you know, it makes you feel, sitting with it, and don't run away, don't Google, don't ask for reassurance. Again, if you're suffering from harm obsessions, you know, feel the discomfort of how it feels to be near those knives, or to be near that person that might provoke those harm obsessions, you know, that person you terrified of harming. Be around them. Use knives to chop dinner. Feel uncomfortable while you're doing it, because every time you allow yourself to feel uncomfortable, you're telling OCD that you're doing it anyway. You're going to live life on your own terms, and the feelings of discomfort that OCD is sending you are irrelevant. So other ways, other fears that somebody might have. So somebody has, you know, has had checking compulsions. So it might be, you know, checking your house is locked or something. So when you've locked up your house, walk away, you start to have those doubts. Oh no, I might be distracted by this all day. Okay, well, allow yourself to be distracted by it all day, because really that distraction is uncomfortable for you. It's uncomfortable having it on your mind, not knowing. Sit with it. You know, and checking various other things, you know, switching the water off or whatever it might be. You know, sit with that. Have those distractions attacking you all day, because and the longer that you're doing that, again, as I said, the more you're showing your mind that these threats, these warning signals are irrelevant. So I hope this video has been helpful in terms of talking through the different ways that we can feel uncomfortable, and maybe even just recognizing that all of this stuff falls under the category of being uncomfortable as well. Almost simplifying things a little bit when you look at it like that. And the more we can try and simplify things in OCD recovery, the better, because OCD loves nothing more than complication, because complication leads to more questions, and then more questions and more answers that need to be found. So if we can simplify things, all the more, the better. So in this video, I've discussed the different ways we can feel uncomfortable, the way this can change as we work through recovery, and then the way discomfort can come up in different themes and how we can kind of sit with that. There's one more thing that I wanted to just mention before finishing this video, is that discomfort can also come from, as we start to work on our recovery, from the lack of anxiety. We might feel uncomfortable because we no longer feel anxiety, and the anxiety was almost becoming a bit of reassurance, because it was like, oh, well, if I feel anxious, I know that it's OCD, so I don't want to do this thing, or I don't want to be this thing. Now, we've got a couple of other videos about this on this channel. It's called the backdoor spike. So that's just another thing I wanted to just mention quickly before finishing the video, that you know, that can make us feel uncomfortable. The lack of anxiety, that's just another way. So I hope this has been helpful, and please know that if you feel uncomfortable, that's good. It's a good thing. Sit with it as long as you can. But thank you very much for watching, and take care. Bye.